Assalamu alaikum, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I hope you can all hear me. Perhaps you can just click an emoji to let us know that you can hear me. Wonderful, thank you so much. Inshallah, people are joining now, so but I'm going to make a start because we are first of all honored to have Mr. Adeel with us as our guest today. We'll introduce him in just a second, but there are lots and lots of questions that we want to get through and really leave with some practical steps for families to focus on when it comes to digital safety, cyber awareness, and all the things that come under this huge umbrella. So really thank you, parents, for taking the time out to be with us today. And we hope that it's a beneficial session, inshallah. We're just going to hit record to make sure that we can share this with others who can't make it today. So hopefully one of our colleagues will hit record in a second now. Just make sure that we've got it going. Okay, we're already recording. Brilliant. So first of all, I want to introduce our guest today, Mr. Adeel, who is an award-winning cybersecurity strategist. He's an author and an international speaker who's got over 15 years of cybersecurity experience, IT experience, and experience in emerging technologies. So we're really honored to have somebody with such a high caliber with us today. He's an author of 2 highly regarded books, one on AI-driven transformation, and also a bestseller on Amazon called AI and Us, The Ethical Choices, which I think is really critical. And he's currently completing his doctorate in business administration with a focus on AI and cybersecurity operations in the Gulf region. So it's a real honor to have Mr. Adeel with us today. Would you mind just introducing yourself, Adeel, just saying hello? Have we blocked you? 1 second, sorry.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Parker, for the introduction. I'm still a learner, I must say. So thanks a lot for this amazing and warm introduction.
Fantastic, thank you. And hopefully you can get your camera on. Are you able to get your camera on?
Sure.
Yeah, got you. Perfect. Wonderful. That's great. Okay. We're also joined with our head of computing, Miss Sini, who is also our digital safeguarding lead within the school. And Miss Sini is kind of the driving force behind not only technological development in the school, but making sure that we always keep whatever developments we have within our school in line with our ethos and the things that we hold as important. So Miss Sini, do you want to just say hello?
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Mr. Parker. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope this session is, you find this discussion practical and insightful, inshallah. It's all about guiding our children to use technology wisely, safely, and with balance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cini. So we met with a number of our parents last week, members of our PTA. We have an e-safety committee, which had its first meeting to really discuss what are the key topics that we think would be of beneficial discussion today. So all of the questions we're going to be talking through have come from parents, and of course the Q&A is open also. You may hear something which you have further questions, or you may want us to add some follow-up. Please use the Q&A function to ask those questions, and we'll throw those questions to Mr. Adeel. We're going to keep it an interactive session just so we can ensure that we are covering all the things that we know that our children are relevant to our children within this school and to our parents as well. Okay, so if it's okay, we'll dive straight in. Adeel, if that's okay.
Sure.
So we're going to start with looking at the importance just generally of online safety and behaviors. I'll just get through some of these slides. Just bear with me. Right, so let's just start with a general question about online behavior. What key aspects of online behavior should children be aware of to stay safe and responsible online? So what kind of things should children be looking out for in terms of inappropriate behaviors when they're online?
Yeah, so the main thing is that be cautious with the strangers, and especially with the links, because I have personally experienced that some of the very initial level games, even PG 6 games or PG 9, 10 games. They have, these strangers are sharing links with each other. That's not a good practice to click over those links. They can, redirect to some harmful websites, or they can, steal your data. Secondly, the main important point is that to protect the personal information, because usually children don't know about this. But if a stranger is asking for a full name, full address, what school they are learning, or asking for their passwords, private things or something. So they need to know that what they can share and what they cannot, especially. And some of the things are required, like parent approvals are required. Uh, Similarly, be respectful online, and be kind. The main two things which I want to mention is, one is that be cautious with the strangers, and secondly, protect personal information.
Okay, and just to be clear about personal information, we mean like names, a full name, especially date of birth,
Yeah,
address, the school that you
exactly.
go to. Yeah,
True.
those kind
True.
of things are considered personal information, right?
Hundred
Um,
percent.
Many of our children, as they are getting older, have access to things like they have their own bank account, because a lot of banks are now encouraging, and that's of course important from a financial literacy perspective. I guess it's important to perhaps not allow children to use their cards online for now at a young age.
Yes, exactly. Like, I would say that overall, everything related to purchasing should be banned from the children's, or if it's somewhat allowed, parents need to, acknowledge that behavior. Especially again, I would, highlight the point of all these games. That games have, during that game, in-app purchases, which we call as. So that's really potentially problematic, because that's like a habit. And there are, like, not physical bugs but V bugs, or just like Robolox and Fortnite and other games. So if they have the bank accounts and they know their bank account details, I'm sure that they will be tempting to put those details on those games. So it's very important for them to inform that they are not allowed to have these in-app purchases. And usually these games have some type of option to block in-app purchases, or to block these type of suspicious link transfers and all. But we have to be cautious, especially who has the bank accounts.
Great, and we're going to dive into some of those controls, I think, a bit later on. So we'll definitely hold you on. I'll come back to that point there. Just so I guess what you've spoken about is having some clear rules about what they can and can't do, and reminding them of those rules. What should children do? And there's a rising concern about strangers talking to children online. I read a statistic the other day, which I sent out to parents, that on Roblox, 50% of people playing on Roblox are over the age of 14, which means there's a whole lot of adults that are playing Roblox which have access to children. What should children do, and what should we teach them to do if they come across a stranger online? We do that obviously in person. We talk about stranger danger and this. What does that mean online?
Online is more dangerous, because we cannot see them, we cannot engage with them. So the idea is that, as a rule of thumb, we can teach them that if you don't know that person, please don't engage online. Like, if you have not met him, or if it's not your school friend or your neighbor or something, then please try to avoid these type of communication. Because it's not only about that they can lead to some dangerous website or something, but they can steal your information. As we say that please don't share personal information. Plus there can be other misbehaving behaviors also. Like, for example, some of the games allow to speak also, and that go into inappropriate information or inappropriate language, which we don't want our children to go into. So they are abusing like anything. I'm sure we all have seen some of the YouTube videos or in the news. So it's better not to engage, and not to talk to them. And as I said, that these games usually have controls to disable that thing from their
Mm.
settings.
We're going to just go into software in a second. But are there any practices that you recommend, like daily practices, for parents to encourage these safe habits online?
Yeah, so you just need to explain them that what can be the dangerous equipments, or what harm can be done with these talking to these strangers, and plus they should know how to report and how to block them. So if
Mm.
they came up with something like this, what need to be the first step, which is usually to take the evidences, to take the screenshots or something, so that they have a record, and then they can they know how to seek support and how to report.
So before we even go into technical discussions, it's about ensuring that we're having conversations with children, because it's a
Definitely.
world. It's another world, isn't it? Making sure that we're being clear about what the boundaries are,
Exactly.
and what to do if something goes wrong, right? Who to report it to. I guess the first
Correct.
thing is, just like in real life, is getting an adult involved, right? So getting the parent involved, or telling somebody in school. We have had cases of this, by the way, where we've had people being abused online, and then us finding out and taking action. So it's important that children know the steps that they need to
Exactly.
take. Okay,
Exactly.
Miss Sini.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Adeel. Those are very practical tips for building habits, safe habits at home. I know many parents also wonder about digital tools. So, are there any software or AI-based solutions that can help monitor and regulate children's digital activities responsibly?
Yes, there are multiple tools, many tools available under the umbrella of parental controls. And first of all, they are from your device itself. Uh, like, Android is a part of Google, so Google have the parental control thingy. Similarly, Apple has for iPhones. But and Microsoft also has for Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, and all. But they are not so gradual, like granular. For example, you need for the games, for you need for the your TV controllers, like gaming controllers, gaming consoles, and all that stuff. So in that case, we have some other applications. Like one is Bark, BARK. Second is this Custodio, Qustidio, and the third one, which is amazingly powerful, is Aura, AURA. So these products, for the research purpose, I installed them. I checked myself. Uh, some have some more functions than the other, but usually they are around the same price as the others. So price, we are talking about around $100 per year, which is not too much, and they allow you to install on multiple devices.
Can you just
So
repeat those names, please?
yeah,
I'll type it
sure,
in the chat.
sure. So first is Bark, BARK.
Yeah,
Second is Custodio, Qustodio.
yeah.
And third is Aura, AURA.
Bark, QU Studio, and Aura. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
So, they have some safe gaming monitoring feature. Um, this Custodio and Bart has the location monitoring system. And I think Bart has a check-in feature also when the child reaches school, or when the child reaches his friend's house or something. They can tap it, and you can also monitor where they are on a as a live location, and many other great features. You can block some timings. The internet will not work as a as you are if you are trying to teach your kids like a digital detox timing, or no phone time during the dinner or something. So these can be implemented during these tools. Whereas I need to mention, there are some physical boxes also, like this same company Aura, which I mentioned. They have a Circle Home Plus device, um, which you can place in your home for this. But again, that's only limited to your home. So outside of home, obviously, you will not get those controls. And frankly speaking, this setup is also very easy. So you have to install, like, once you create these accounts on their website, they will allow you to download the APKs and the downloadable files, which you need to install on iPads, MacBooks, uh, even Windows laptops or Chromebooks or whatever. And then one application will be in parents' mobile phone, so they can monitor what's going on all those other systems.
Does that
Uh,
also apply to gaming devices as well, like PlayStations?
Not as such. Then you need to go with this Circle Home Plus device because that will be sitting in your home and that can monitor anything which is going on these things. But whereas if the same device, for example, somebody is playing on their laptop or iPad, then they will be monitored because the software is stored there.
Really helpful tools. Thank you, Mr. Adeel. So based on this, following on from the tools that you've mentioned, what parental controls solutions would you recommend for children over 13? Because some of the tools are restricted for the age limit of 13 or below. Are there any effective third-party apps? Like in school we use JAMF Parent. Any other third-party apps that parents can use?
Yeah, Lucina, these apps which I'm talking about, they are like not restricted to any age. Even the Aura has the feature of identity thefts also, which are for adults also. Even. Okay, so there is no age limit problem in this. Especially if the children are like plus 13, that's totally fine. And the controls are like you can disable some of the apps or timings or you as I said, the location features, these all are there. And especially I think Custodio has this option of even to check in the voice thing that if somebody is playing Fortnite and there is some offensive language is being used there, so it will alert the parents real time.
All right, thank you. That will definitely help parents get started. Mr. Parker, over to the next one.
Okay, there's just a question about YouTube and restricting YouTube, Messini. So I think that's something that we can look at. It's quite challenging with YouTube, isn't it? Because a lot of our students use YouTube to access things like revision videos and other things. But there's something we can look at to see if there's other measures. Just while we're on YouTube, and there's a question from one of our parents around YouTube, Mr. Adeel. So one of the big things which many children speak to me about and parents speak to me about is shorts. And I mean, we will be talking about, in fact, the next question is about addiction. But one of the addictions around shorts or Snapchat feeds or Instagram feeds, we know there's the massive addictive nature to those. Is there any way that we can restrict YouTube shorts? Because I think this is the one where parents find most difficulty. They'll keep their children away from social media, but then the shorts on YouTube is highly addictive. Is there any way that you can block either through the app or through the browser?
Yes, Park, again, these parental control tools, because you are right. If you are trying to restrict it from the Google's own parental tools, obviously YouTube is a product of Google, so they will not give you full control over it. You get the point. So these applications are really good. And just to add to that Sine's question that about the JAMF, which you are using JAMF, that's basically a MDM basically. So MDM is a mobile device management, which is like locking the whole device, and that's not suitable for parents. That is great for the institutions like you guys, but you know because they are very expensive. They need a professionals like us to implement. So don't go in the MDM side, especially for parents. For parents, you can use these type of tools which are like very very cheap and very easy to install on all the devices, including Mac, including Windows, and including Android.
So just a couple of things I think, which is the Jamfa app that we have for parents is just an extension of our school MDM. So you can use it to actually control your child's device. It's probably not as effective as some of the apps that Mr. Adeel has mentioned here, which has a lot more details and individual things that you can control. But we've currently rolled it out for year 3 and 4, and we've bought the license for you. And it allows some level of control, but again, not as detailed as you might expect. Also, screen time from Apple, which you mentioned at the start, that does work hand in hand with our MDM. So when your child comes home, you can apply all the restrictions that you'd like using Apple screen time to block those. And of course, if they're using devices on other things, you can use Google Family or one of the third-party apps that we've listed there for you as well. Okay, so let's move on to online games, okay, because this is a new world for many of us. We didn't grow up with online games, and sometimes we can't understand what the obsession is. but nearly every game that children are playing these days, whether it's Fortnite, whether it's Roblox, and I think it may be worth just explaining what Roblox is, because there's a misconception that it's just one game. I understand it's multiple games. What are the main dangers that are associated with these online games, and how many of them actually have those features, chat features, or voice features?
Yeah, game is a big part. I need to, put attention of all the parents here that there is a rating system, a ranking system, which is the PEGI, the Pan European Game Information. These are available online, and UAE follows, like UAE, this National Media Council and NMC aligns with this PGI standards. There are other standards also in US, but UAE align with this PEGI standards. So these standards are basically telling you about the age limit for a particular game. Okay, so you have PEGI 3, then 7, then 12, then 16, and then 18. Okay, so I think that's a like overall universal point where you can align that, for example, I'm only allowing the game which is PEGI 3. Even a child is 7 or 8 or 9. That's totally up to those parents. So 3 is basically suitable for all ages. No bad language, no frightening content. Then you have the 7, which is like mid violence and fantasy theme, but again, in a childly friendly manner, just like Minecraft, which is PEGI 7. So this is just a overall, I would say, a starting point. Whereas the dangers are huge. Major, which we mentioned already about these strangers and predators. So games like Roblox and this Fortnite, they are played globally, and unfortunately, many predators use this voice features and chat features to discourage children and to cyber bully and create a toxic behavior in the students. Similarly, there are some inappropriate content also, which are like, they all, like some of the you know games say that they are kid friendly appearances, but still they have like these inappropriate content, which can be very dangerous for the kids. So in short, summarizingly, we have these strangers and predators in this, then approximate contexts are there, cyberbullying and toxic behavior is there, and there can be scams and in-game purchases, which we mentioned earlier. That for example, the you have allowed him to buy 50 dirham of v bucks in a month in any particular game, and the child used to buy for that 50 dirham, and then somebody in the chat says that I have a link for you where you can get 200 dirham of v bucks, for example, right? So the child will be tempting to click on that link for getting those free credits, and the game is over once he clicked any phishing link.
Well, lots to unpack there. I just want to emphasize a few things, and I have a follow-up question for you. So I think one is about predators. Okay, they are adults online, and it's proven. There's lots of reports on it, who are targeting young children, and it often starts with whether it's looking at spyware, looking at finding information about your child, but can quite quickly go onto another app. And one of the strategies that they use is to say, can we now talk on Telegram, or can we now talk on WhatsApp? And move the child over. And often children in their vulnerability, they go over. Sometimes they'll offer them something, and in safeguarding, we call that grooming. So they'll offer them some prizes or something like that. So I think there's there's one side which is literally about child's being focused on by predators, and often they're interested in sexual activity, and can encourage children to send pictures of themselves, etc. And that's one huge danger we need to park. There's another one there, which is around online bullying, and sometimes children who may be in the same class together are part of a large game, and can be, and that kind of environment in the game can create rudeness and bullying, etc., which children need to be aware of. Sometimes that spills over into school. Sometimes it just stays online. So that's another one we need to be aware of. You've spoken about clicking links. Those links can be linked to sharing information, but also about spyware being installed on computers. and getting access to private data on a laptop and those kind of things as well. So lots and lots of risks associated with those things that we need to be aware of. Is it best just not to let them play, or to block them from making purchases? What do you advise here? Should we allow them to play but with controls? What's the best way?
Yeah, so if you're creating an account on Fortnite and you type the age below 13, that's already in a cabined mode, so they called it like that, where the pin to purchase thingy is off, the voice chat and text thingy is off. So some of these games have those options, some don't have. First, check for the games settings if they have these options for parental control. And secondly, the device thing. So the consoles like PlayStation 5 and Xbox, they have as a console itself these options, to turn on these parental controls. And similarly, if they are playing on others. And I will go back to those tools which we mentioned in the chat. These parental controls can also not only flag these activities, but even some of them can predict. For example, if a guy is already famous to be a spammer, right? And if he's trying to chat with your kid, it will inform the parents that it can be a problematic thing for yourself.
So those parental controls on the PlayStations and Xboxes themselves, that's the first place to start, and then to go down into further things. Now, we've talked about the risk of playing the games and the dangers on there. What about kind of a gaming addiction? Because that's something we've seen a lot of in the news. There are certain countries that are now banning a certain amount of hours or even online gaming per se. What are the risks associated with addictive gaming, and what's the limit that we might say, a child, let's say a 10-year-old, should have when it comes to gaming time?
So again, that depend on parent to parent, how many hours and how many minutes they want to control. Again, these applications have these options to block the timings, or limit the timings, such as screen time or that particular application time. So again, we are no one to restrict the parents, but they have to decide that what's best for them. Um, um, in terms of, but if I would say, like, my kid is like around 4 years now, so he never plays games. He watches, but not into games up till now. So if it's 10 years, I would say, if you ask me, I would say maximum 1 hour.
Maximum 1 hour. Yeah. So certainly we know there has to be restrictions in place, and definitely time. There's a couple of comments there. Thank you guys for these comments. They're really, really useful. So one is the kind of conversations that we have with children, and some advice that tell them about the police. And actually we're living somewhere where there's very strict cybercrime rules. And one of my follow-up questions about how we report these things, but children should know about the laws in the UAE. And that the police take it very, very seriously. So we should remind them, even as a threat as well. So I think that's Ms. Aisha, what you're talking about. So I think that's definitely a good idea. There are lawsuits in place around companies like Roblox, and in certain restrictions are in place, I think, here in the UAE as well. But it remains something which children, we speak to children, and I think the challenge with Roblox is that there's so many games within Roblox. Some of them have some very inappropriate content, sexual activity. You can mock sexual activity on them. There's killing and all sorts of things. And it needs to be checked. I think I would honestly advise that children should not be playing Roblox. I think it should be blocked from iPads. That can be easily blocked on the iPads. It's blocked within school, and many of our parents block it. So certainly, I think we should just encourage, and we should have this open conversation as a community to say that we really are against children playing that, and spread that amongst the community. Just a question about YouTube on PlayStations. Can it be blocked on PlayStations?
Yes, you can block it on PlayStation and Xboxes also.
Is that within the settings on those devices?
Exactly. In their own parental control, there's option to block certain apps, but again, they are not full flash. If you need full flash, then you need to go back to those applications. If they support PlayStations, some are not supporting. If they are not supporting, then if the kids are playing at the home, then you need to put those restrictions on your router, the flood router or do router, or you can purchase one which I mentioned about this Circle Home Plus device, which you can have it
Yeah, I'm
with your
definitely
flood
going to
router.
come back to this because I think we need to break down in some detail about some of those
Sure.
infrastructure questions. That's really great. YouTube Kids, is it safe? Is it much safer than normal YouTube? That's one of the
Yeah.
questions from my parents.
Yes, somewhat safe, but not 100%. So you have to monitor, like, for my personal, like for my kid, even he was talking something which he should not. So, we came up with some of the cartoons, whereas we have already put that, under 4 years of age in that YouTube Kids, but still it was showing some of the things. So it's not 100% safe.
Amazing,
And
thank you.
Parker, I need to highlight that thing which you say that we can report. That's a big part. At least if students cannot remember that, but for the parents, because the Ministry of Interior have this Child Protection Center. There's a calling number also, which is 116 111. Okay, 116 111. That's for Ministry of Interior Child Protection Center. Whereas the Ministry of Education also has Child Protection Unit, and their dedicated number is 800 85. And the website is ecrime.ae. I think they have a child protection law with the name of Vadima's law, something like that. I'm sure you guys know it.
Absolutely. So Wadima's law is the law which put into statute our safeguarding responsibilities as adults, as all adults, whether it's parents, schools, teachers, to report on e-safety, on any kind of safety, not just e-safety, on any kind of safety. So that's the basis of our safeguarding policies within the school as well. I've just put ecrime.ae for anybody who wants to report anything to ecrime. And I guess us raising concerns to the police about any concerns that are happening online will help them develop policies as well to apply within the. I speak to a lot of officers we have within the school, and they do have a big concern around online gaming habits, and some of those things are outside of regulation, current regulation, but they are those big concerns, and they do speak to our children about it as well. Okay, thank you for those. There's a question about routers, which we'll come back to in a second, because I've got a whole section on that that we want to focus on. Missini.
Yeah. I think we've already answered the question on how parents can enable the settings within Fortnite and Roblox, right? So moving on to addiction, how can parents effectively manage or reduce gaming addiction at home?
Yeah. So again, back to those apps, I would say these apps are just imagine like you teach a adult to how to safely drive, right? So one thing is that you are teaching them how to safely drive. Another thing is to put a seat belt, right? So that seat belt is basically those restrictions. So even though you are sitting with the child and telling him that like this is how to report, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, um, everything you are explaining to them, but still you need a seat belt now, right? So please restrict your child using these applications. Even if you don't want to go in the purchasing route, just try to take advantage of this. And some of these applications have 30 days trials also. Just try to use it, and reach out to me for any support if you need, like during installation or something. Because again, I will repeat that you are explaining to him that no, it's only 1 hour of playing time, not more than that. But what about weekends? What about summer holidays? What about winter holidays? What about semester breaks? So they will always go up and beyond that.
I think
And these applications have some bonus features also, like if, for example, if they have completed the home chores or something, you can allow 10 minutes extra. Right? So please use them wisely. Otherwise, lecturing them, um, I don't think that they would be like serious about anything at this
also, I
age.
think providing them, off-screen activities, going on nature walks, or taking a detox weekend. I think doing that as a family will also help. And if all thing fails, I think parent has given us a really practical solution: switch off the internet. That's
Switch off. Seni, sorry to interrupt. The switch off feature of the internet is also in these applications. So the internet will be switched off on that device. But again, internet will be working because that app is taking care of that thing. But that feature is there. And to highlight this point, that's amazing practice, like digital detox, or some fancy name like no phone zone, dinner table box or something where everybody's putting their phone. So you can make like a practice, or in the gamification.
We'll be talking about some of those apps and infrastructure things in more detail in a second. I was just a funny one, which is one of our parents I was speaking to saying, she pulls the router out every evening and she takes it with her and she puts it in a cupboard. so I think that's the thing. But some of the comments that are coming through there, I think they have a very and we're laughing about some of those things, but actually a very important undertone, which is that the adults have to be the adults in the situation. Okay, we can't blame the children for not being able to make their cognitive choices when there's so much addiction involved. I think the adults have to make the firm decisions and turn it off and actually say, well, that's my right because I'm the adult in the room here to make those choices and put those rules in place. So we'll be talking about easier ways to turn the Wi-Fi off than pulling the router in just a minute. Okay, let's move on to onto social media. Now, of course, we have, just like films, movies, we have age restrictions on those things. Similarly, we have age recommendations for apps like Snapchat, and I don't think Facebook is a thing anymore for students, but Instagram, Snapchat, and Discord, and other things that are out there right now. And let's put, obviously, there's the recommendations from the ratings. We, of course, have our own ethos in terms of our values as families as well. What would you recommend, is the age that children should have access from a safety point of view, from a social point of view, for social media?
Actually, social media is far more dangerous than the games which we mentioned, frankly speaking. I would not recommend any school kid to have social media. That's just me. But you are right that these apps have different limitations. I think that's some are for 13, just like Messenger Kids and others. But there is one big problem here also, just like my sister's children, that they need to communicate, right? Like uh, they need to communicate to their parents, and now they are like the parent is messaging to the maid, and maid is passing on the message to the child, and it's a mess. So there are some these type of messaging tools. There is one, I think, Just Talk Kids. Then there is the Kinzo Messenger, which are somewhat safe. And if they need that social interaction and like a social media function, I think this Lego, the Lego company, they also have a social media. Um, and there are some other safe social media.
Just name them again for me. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mohammed, just name them again for me.
One is this Lego, the Lego company, which makes Lego. They have a social media. Then there is one Pop Jam, POPJAM.
Yeah.
Just Talk, JUSTALK.
Okay.
And the Kinzo Messenger, KINZOO.
So these are some safe alternatives if you need groups of students to talk together.
Talk together.
Easy to regulate.
Exactly, talk together, and in the messaging point of view also, because I know some parents, they use iMessage, because they are using iPad, so they don't have a SIM or something. But that's also not safe, and somewhat safe. Apple have this communication safety where if somebody is trying to send any inappropriate content, it will blur it. But up to that extent only, not much.
Okay. I think with as you mentioned, messengers. Children are using messengers, whether it's WhatsApp or iMessages, or because there's no SIM cards. Even if you don't have a phone, that's available, and other things much earlier. So, what are some of the measures that they can put in place to ensure that their child is safe? And I'm particularly thinking about group chats, because group chats are the ones that get very toxic for adults as well, but certainly for children, there's a bullying element, a safeguarding element.
Yeah, so again, need to sit with children, need to inform that what is right, what is wrong. But you have to restrict. As I said, I will repeat that social media is more dangerous than the games, so they can go anywhere. So first of all, they should not be there. If they are like, if they just need to communicate, as I said, there are alternatives. Go there, but not on these platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, or whatever. They are super dangerous. I
There
think
may be an
UK
age.
has
Sorry, go on.
I think UK has earlier the age of 16, and then they reduced to 13 for using these WhatsApps and all.
I
Even
think that
WhatsApp.
the problem is often the children when they're self-registering on these
Yeah.
apps, they will put an older age, right? So then they get the things unrestricted access to things.
Go back to those
Um,
applications. Those applications can restrict that particular app totally, because children are really smart. Not only they can change the age, but they have the passports and other digital stuff of your parents also. They can upload anything just to verify their age if the platform is asking to verify. And secondly, they know much better usage of VPNs and other stuff than us. So
mm.
they are really smart. But again, those applications can handle 90% of the issues.
But talking about ages, what do you think? When is the best time for children to, start using these apps, especially, WhatsApp, iMessage, or, Discord? What do you think is the best,
As I said,
let's say, age?
I would say not the school age. This is just me again.
So 18
But
plus, maybe above 18.
exactly, or at least 16, 17. This is really dangerous. But as I said, that there are, like, if they need to just communicate with their parents, with mates, with mentors and all, then there are alternatives.
So,
I
I think,
go on,
yeah.
Sunny.
Yes, Mr. Berger.
Carry on.
Right. So I just wanted to ask, from parents' perspective, do you think parents should monitor these chat groups? Do you think they should have their children's passwords, and have access to these, chats that they are part of?
You're asking parents, right?
I'm asking you, like, do you think we as parents should have access, should monitor our children's chat groups, and should also have if our kids have their own devices, do you think parents should have access to their passwords?
Definitely, they should have, and again, in a gamification way, so that they understand that mama is only monitoring just to make sure that nothing is going bad there. So I think that parents should read their messages. Privacy is one thing, but children are really sensitive, so we should go in that direction. This is just me.
Yeah, I think age is an important thing here, and the challenges that children face. I think we don't want to just project it as we're trying to keep children away from something. The pressures that children face when it comes to online enrollment to using WhatsApp or those kind of things are maybe the social pressures that we had, which were very different when we were younger. So we have to also take an empathetic stance with our children, and that may lead to different parents making different decisions about when their children can access certain things. But it's not an easy call. It's not an easy call. But I think as long as possible, we want to make sure that we have those controls in place. Okay, and at what point do we transition over to saying you're an adult now? Is it at university? Is it a bit younger? And I think maybe different children will require different levels of input. Some
True.
children are completely able to regulate themselves, and some aren't. So I think, but being connected is number one. I do agree that parents should hold the rights of accessing their children's phones or iPads, to say that I do have the right at any point. And often that access alone is enough for them to be careful. But for sure, we should log in when they go to bed, or and say that we will do that. And it's a bit dictatorship, but I think it's important.
True.
So I think that's really important. There's a question about VPNs, and people do use VPNs perhaps to keep in contact with, because things like WhatsApp are not in use here. I presume the advice is that we shouldn't allow children to have VPNs, right?
100%. VPNs are so basically there are two links. First, try to understand what is a VPN. VPN is another one's servers which is sitting in for example UK. So everything which you are typing will go to UK and then route to the internet world. So whatever is allowed in UK will be allowed to you sitting in UAE. Okay. that is not allowed, right? You can get fines here in UAE. So it's not for, even for adults, it's not allowed. Only is allowed for the organizations to use if they have some sort of branch. So for example, Beam Group, Bukhatir Group has one branch in UK. They can connect to that UK branch for doing this stuff. But again, you cannot abuse that system. So similarly for children also. So first risk is that it's not allowed, right? Authorities can catch you, and they can fine you. And second risk is that, as I mentioned, all your traffic is going to that another country, right? So, and that operator or provider can do whatever he or she want with that data. So you are routing your whole device internet to that party. For example, it's NordVPN or whatever, VPN. I don't know much about VPNs because it's illegal. So, but you are sending everything to that particular company. How you can trust those company? And at the end of the day, you can check that where they belong. Some sometimes they are not belonging uh, to that UK or US where they are registered. Hope you
I
understand.
think the other thing about VPNs is that it will undermine whatever security you have in the home, because once they connect to a VPN, it will be as if they're connected to another network, not to your own home
True.
network,
True.
which means that any restrictions that you have in place will not have the impact that you want it to have. YouTube is coming up again and again as a common issue. And rightly so, because often children, if they don't have social media apps, that's what they're going to go to, and it does act somewhat as a social media feed. How do we ensure that children are not getting things recommended to them? Because often one thing leads to another. It's very addictive. I find it addictive as an adult. I'm sure many other people find it addictive as adults as well. How can we put some restrictions in place? I've seen a few things around this, that you can turn off recommended videos, for example. Is there anything else that you would recommend that could perhaps help regulate YouTube, aside from the time restriction? I think, more than an hour YouTube is unnecessary. But is there anything else that you could suggest?
No, basically this YouTube Kids has this option of recommendation which you already mentioned. But other than that, you cannot like restrict where to go, where not to go. Um, and even those applications which I mentioned cannot help in this area, because either you will allow YouTube or block YouTube, and you are in middle and you are saying that YouTube, these things are allowed and these things are not allowed, not are blocked. These are usually some enterprise level firewalls which can do that. But for for parents at home, it's really difficult. And unfortunately, there is no option to turn off the shorts even. Like for example, I need to allow YouTube, but only the shorts I need to block. Google does not care, and they have not given us these options.
And I think that's probably that's on purpose, I think, isn't it? There's lots of questions or comments coming through about people's systems that they're using at home. So we're just going to move on to that question, if that's okay. So let's talk about home infrastructure, okay, in terms of controlling our Wi-Fi systems. Now, I understand, and from my limited understanding, that there are different layers of controls that we can put in place. So perhaps we can start from the very top with firewalls. Can you just tell us what a firewall is and what its function is within the home?
Yeah, so a firewall is just a router, but in a secure way. So it try to limit, some of the things, in terms of controls and all. But that's also not too much effective, especially like now for enterprises also. Why? Because everything is encrypted. So if the data is encrypted, then I will not go in technical route, but the firewall cannot even read. They need to translate and they need to understand and they need to block. So sometimes that's not working. The option is that Etisalat itself have these parental controls, on their routers. Otherwise, there are some DNS providers, which is again going into a technical direction, but uh, there is a family shield, OpenDNS is a family shield that's free, which you can use. Basically, how to explain DNS? DNS is just like that's converting your IP into name. For example, you go into firewall, sorry, for example, google.com. So google.com is converted into some IP. So OpenDNS has this family shield, and there is one more which is clean browsing DNS, and these both are free. Number one.
So just to be clear, this is almost like a filter for the internet, like the connection that's coming through. I'm talking non-technical because I'm not a technical person in this regard. So it's like like you say, like a gatekeeper, which is whatever somebody is searching in your home via the browser, you can control certain things on there. And probably like at an Etisalat level, in terms of you're getting your internet provider provides some restrictions to that, but probably not enough to control the stuff that's going on. Yeah. But this is maybe mainly controls at a browser level, right? Through Chrome or Safari, right?
So this OpenDNS family shield, which I talk about, that will also implement in your this Etisalat router only. So there's an option to change those DNSs, which is like again a gatekeeper type of thing, which you will change to another, and then it will restrict. This is I know this is complicated, but the best way is to go for these type of devices, which I mentioned, the Circle Home plus box.
Okay, so let's move on to those. And so right now, and somebody mentioned Deco here. The Deco is the one that I use in my home as well. So we're talking about now getting some physical devices into the home. Okay. And these devices, are we replacing our routers with these devices? How does it work with our existing internet provider?
No, so the device will be there, the Etisalat or Do or whatever, and after that, this will be placed. So the internet coming from these device, your internet provider will go directly to these boxes, these firewalls, and then it will route to your environment.
Okay, so let me just provide some clarity because some people have mentioned it. I'm just going to put some links perhaps to so you can just get a picture of what we're looking at. Just bear with me while I just get some links here. So if I just, for example, put this in the chat, just trying to make this as interactive as possible and useful as possible. So here's a link, for example, and I'm not advertising this in particular. I have no link to Deco or TP-Link, but here's just an example of a whole Wi-Fi system. Okay, and I understand Google, Nest is one, Deco is one, Ubiquitous, I think is another company, which is one.
Yeah, but not all these are just like Wi-Fi routers. So they are not specifically built for home controls and all that stuff. But still they have much better controls than for example Etisalat's main, because Etisalat need to put out to millions of homes. So that's why they make as cheap as possible. So for more features you can install these. One more suggestion I need to give, that you can create another SSID. What is the SSID? Like, you have, my name is Adeel. So my home network is Adeel Wi-Fi. You connect to Adeel Wi-Fi. So I will create another one in the same router. You don't have to pay more to your internet provider. You create one more as a Adeel guest. Okay. And that feature is available on all the routers. So you have your existing router, Etisalat and Do. They have an option to create one more SSID. Okay, so you can create a guest SSID, and that will be really, really restricted. Okay, that's the easiest way.
And do you have those? So this is going via your browser. You can control it on the Etisalat login, right?
True.
But what level of restriction do you have on those?
They are very limited. Like just the internet browsing, nothing else they can do if their devices are connected to that SSID, because that's for guests. So. They cannot go to internet banking. They cannot do much. As I'm sure you have connected to some public Wi-Fi, and you notice that so many websites are not working. So that can be done. And again, as you mentioned, it's from your browser. You just go to browser. There are hundreds of video on YouTube which will help you to set up for your specific router for Etisalat.
I would advise, just from my own reading on this, that you probably do have to invest in some infrastructure to get better, to get a more fluid access, right? So, because what you want to be able to do is from your phone, you want to be able to turn on or turn off the Wi-Fi, at a very simple level, but also have other profiles on there. So I just want to talk a little bit about Deco as an example, but there's other products there. You mentioned a particular product for with more children level access. What was the one that you mentioned?
Circle Home Plus device.
Circle Home Plus device, right?
Sorry to interrupt. That's the part of Aura only, AURA, which I talked about in the tools section. So
that's
Aura,
great. Yeah,
Exactly. So you will buy that subscription, $99 or whatever for a year, and then you will have that physical hardware at your home also. So your with the same subscription, that hardware box will also work, and now your even your gaming consoles are taken care of.
Great. So there's two things here. One is we just mentioned like things like deco and those kind of things. These are they act first of all, they provide you with those little machines which you can put in different parts of your home, which will extend the reach of your internet. That's one thing. But they often have much better apps to control devices within the home. And I think some of the great features on many of these things are like Mr. Adeel mentioned, you can create separate Wi-Fi's on there. So for example, I can have a Wi-Fi kids, and then I can have Wi-Fi parents, okay? And you'll have different networks showing in your homes. Then you can apply very clear restrictions on your kids' ones. So for example, you can put scheduling on there to say that it will come on only after 8 o'clock in the morning, so you don't have kids waking up while you're trying to sleep on the weekend and access the TV, for example. You can have a whitelist certain devices, so you can say only these devices can access this particular profile. You can restrict certain websites on there, and it allows you to do it through their app, which makes it a lot easier and user-friendly for you to use. Also, you can do it remotely when you're not at home, whereas things like the standard do and Etisalat ones, you have to be in the home connected to their network to be able to make those changes. So they're really useful for that. Somebody's put Sini's put a very useful parent control and internet filtering link there. And then Circle Home Plus device by Aura is a specific one to focus on children's levels controls within there. I do want to mention whitelisting of devices. It's something we've implemented in the school. It's been hard to do it, but it just means that only approved devices can access our internet, which means if a child is not on the school's MDM, we don't allow them to use the internet within the school. How can that work at home? Can you have whitelisting at home?
Yes, definitely. Every router has that option. From that Etisalat's dashboard, you can do this, that allow certain devices. But again, adding those devices is little technical. You will find YouTube videos. Basically, every hardware has their MAC address, which is a physical address of that particular device. So that need to be added in the router. So only those devices will be connected to that particular thing. So if outsiders also trying to connect to your Wi-Fi, they will be rejected.
Okay, I'm just gonna put some here so people can search this. So whitelisting is a very useful tool because what we don't want, for example, is children bringing in devices from anywhere else, especially as they get older and devices become a lot cheaper to buy. If you have certain restrictions in place, your child may, God forbid, may bring a device from outside and so that they can access things. So whitelisting, which is available at a very basic level on your existing internet or through these apps, you can have a function where you will approve every device to be on your internet, and you can take something called the MAC address. So if you just go on your device, for example, on your phone, and you look at your internet and you click the I button, this is on an Android, it will show you your MAC address. Okay, that must be fixed, which means that you can't keep changing those internet addresses, which means you can track that device. Okay, you will add that device code onto your internet and say this device can use my internet. Okay, and therefore you only have a restricted number of devices that can use your internet. It does mean somebody comes to your house, it's a little bit awkward. So let me add your MAC address to my home. But there's certain ways around it, and I think we should have that level of strictness in our homes so that we only have approved devices available on there. Anything else about home infrastructure? Somebody mentioned about decos slowing down. I think one thing that you must do is make sure those decos are not using Wi-Fi to connect from your main router. Connect each one of them to the Ethernet. Okay, so to your if you have what's the word I'm looking for? The socket. It should be connected directly via the socket and not trying to get Wi-Fi from each of the from the main router. That's something which often slows down decos, but otherwise you should have the same speed as everything else within your home. Anything else around infrastructure? Any questions? Because this is an important one. I think what's clear from my reading is that every home needs to have a policy, right? You have to think through your infrastructure. You can't leave it to chance. Adeel, do you want to just anything you want to add to that?
For that, guests who are trying to, for example, you have a guest coming up and they want to connect. So again, as I said, create another Wi-Fi for them, SSID. So, might be everything is like, even your children's are connected to your main Wi-Fi, but you have a guest one, which are only for the guest. And the good part is that every router has the option to hide those networks. So Adeel guest will not be visible. So they cannot search for Adeel guest. Only when the guest will come, you will take their device and just search for Adeel guest. The Wi-Fi will be there, the SSID will be there, but it's hidden. So children cannot connect, but only the guest can connect.
Great. Fantastic. Okay. Any other points? Sini, any other points on infrastructure?
I think we've covered pretty much all those aspects, right? From the infrastructure point of view. Yeah. So the network level, and then we've got the router level as well, which we've studied has gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think now we can move on to the next really important aspect, which is on mental health, right? So we move on to mental health, AI, digital well-being. Mr. Adeel, how does excessive screen use or online exposure impact children's mental well-being?
This is a big area, high risk of anxiety, depressions, uh, sleep disruption, fatigues, attention and behavior issues. There are so many things which can be discussed here. So, you know, it's not only about the screen time, but also which we already highlighted about cyberbullying, sexting, and social media usage, um, late night gamings, and uh, it just add unlimited problems. And again, with cyberbullying, there is fear, and uh, there's a mode of isolation that I don't have social skills, I cannot do something. So there are hundreds of issues which are related to mental health and digital well-being.
And what are your thoughts when children use generative AI tools such as ChatGPT as a form of emotional or academic support? They turn to it as a form of to get therapy sometimes. So what are your thoughts on this?
This is really dangerous. OpenAI, I think they say that the age limit for using OpenAI ChatGPT is 13 to 18. Um, so like from their end, that's coming 13 to 18. I would definitely say 18, um, because there is no restriction around it. And what happened to this character AI. I'm sure everybody has heard about this story, which is like 14-year-old from Florida has did suicide because he was chatbotting this sexualized conversations with that character. This is a very open use case which happened to have to. So it's really dangerous because he used to do this conversations and all, and the chatbot apparently has asked him to do something which was not allowed to do. So he did suicide. So it's a very, very, very dangerous part to be. Whereas there is one, like there are some I would say AI for children which are very much safeguarded. There's one called Little Lit, LITTLELIT. That's for age 6 to 14 years, which is like I would say a smaller version of OpenAI. Yeah, exactly. So they can use that, or otherwise, I would encourage schools to build their own AI, because AI is very helpful, but this is a problem thing, because we have to have a walled garden AI, I would say.
AI is a huge area. Mr. Farhan has just mentioned an excellent book called Anxious Generation. It's definitely worth reading or getting a summary of, which really talks about what it is about the lifestyle that children are leading that's leading to some of these mental health issues that Ms. Sina is referring to, and it's a big concern. Research is now coming out about not only just adults but children who are turning to generative AI for psychological and social support. And sometimes it gives responses that can be quite helpful, but of course we want children to not be going to a generative AI to get these answers, but going to adults. And one of the reasons for that is that the very fact that it's generative, which means a language-based model is only linking concepts and words together. It's not actually grounded in any truth. It's just searching what's out there in the internet and what's commonly linked to certain words and giving advice based on that. And that's really concerning. That's really concerning. Just some other points here on AI, Mr. Adeel, which is about, and somebody just mentioned a point here about pictures, about sharing of confidential information on AI, like uploading family pictures, for example. What happens to that information?
It's just used for training other AI models in future. So, and it like this is a general rule of thumb when you are discussing with child that anything which you post on internet remains on internet. So, I have personally heard that children are arguing that no, on a Snapchat the message disappears after 24 hours. Nothing disappears. So it disappears in front of you, but everything which is like posted remains there. So if you are posting or sharing your personal information, that's always there with OpenAI, and they can do whatever they want with that information.
And again, it goes down to what is personal information, right? And even as schools, we've had to put a policy in place around AI for the adults about how we use AI, what's safe to put in, are we allowed to put student information, and all these kind of things have come up for us as adults. And for children, it's even harder. And of course, with free versions out there, of all types from all different parts of the world, it's concerning about how children are using this. We've decided to ban ChatGPT this year in school, just because we don't think it adds in school to the skills that we're trying to teach. But of course, there is a real question about what it is that we want children to learn about prompt engineering and all those kind of things, which perhaps we can come to in a second. There's just a really important question which somebody's posed here, which is about, with all these things that we've discussed today, children, especially as they go into secondary school, start to feel very controlled. Okay, and as they develop their own personalities and their own wants, and especially when different homes have different rules, it can be quite difficult for parents to know, when to be very tight with the rules and when to let go a little bit. And that's a huge challenge for parenting today. Can we just rely on the fact that we can just educate children and then let them make their own choices when it comes to online behaviors? Or does it need to be controlled to this level?
That need to be controlled. I will repeat that you are teaching an adult how to drive safely is one thing, but seatbelt is another thing. So you have to have those things in place. You have to have those softwares. You have to have those balancing in place with whatever policy you agree to.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, with teenagers, they come with their independence and their right. They resist. So I think the goal shouldn't be really on control, but I think co-regulate. And what I mean is, manage, like from, not saying I'm going to manage your screen time, but let's work this together. I'm helping you learn how to manage yourself, so involve them in the decisions and not make one-sided rules, but make sure that as a family, you sit down together, you agree on some non-negotiables, like no phones. That's a strict non-negotiable at my place. No phones in bedrooms at night, right? Device-free dinner times. So come up with these rules together. Let them help them decide the rest. Gives them that ownership, and it also gives them accountability as well. And also model. We need to model what they see. Right, so they notice more than children. I think teens notice what we do, and if they see us as parents scrolling endlessly, so that's another rule in our family. When someone comes to talk to you, we put the phone down. So we're not scrolling, we're not looking at the phone, but we make eye contact and we have those conversations. And again, modeling is really important in that. That
exactly. The Paul from Breaking Bad. That was a very eye-opening clip. He said that he was like sending a very important email, and her 6-year-old daughter came and she wanted to like ask something, and she was repeating, and the father said that no, please let me finish this email or something. And like the kid went, and then he tried to play by himself or herself, and then he realized, and he go back to her and promise that I will not use a mobile phone while it's a playtime and the stuff. And the kid responded by, really? That like she was in a shock that really father can do this. So so as you mentioned that we have to start from ourselves, as well.
So really great points coming through here about, especially with teens, educating them, being part of that conversation, as Missini was saying, and avoiding perhaps always dealing with these things when it gets to an argument, but setting some of those, having those discussions when things are calm, to try and set some of those rules, to set the right culture in the home. And of course, adults, we really need to model it, don't we? And again, it's not easy. And it's not always about adults doing things which are bad things, for example. So it's not just about us scrolling, but even things like work emails or taking phone calls, even having hygiene around those things so that we're not, they're not seeing us just fully immersed in our device. I mean, I'm sitting here now, I'm surrounded by about 4 devices. I've got my phone, I have my iPad, I have my screen, my desktop, I have my laptop, and anybody walking in right now is not going to really feel that my body language is pointing towards having a calm conversation between 2 human beings. So I think how we model that in our homes, and having some of those places where we put our phones down, and not sitting with our laptops at times which should be social. We really need to own the time that we have with each other, even beyond all of these restrictions. And I think some of the points that some of our parents are saying are really focusing on the why, rather than just what are the rules. Why do we have some of these things in place? What are we trying to protect? We believe in family values. We believe in good company and all those kind of things, and focusing on those in the home. So thank you for those really good points. Missini, over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Parker. I think moving on to the last part of our session today is on cyberbullying and digital etiquette. So can we hear from you what signs might indicate that a child is being cyberbullied, and how should parents respond?
Yeah, so there will be like behavioral signs. The child would be anxious. They will have stress signs. They might avoid social situations, especially at school, and in these social gatherings. So these can be some of the signs of that. He might be like cyber bullied, and while he's using the phone, you can see that he's sad or irritable, or he's like a withdrawn thingy. So I'm sure that cyberbullying or sexting, they are very sensitive stuff, and they like people, especially children, don't mention to anyone. um, that's why, going back to that point, that you have to have those conversations, and you have to look at what he's chatting, with whom he's chatting, just in an interactive way, that we are just seeing that, so that let's see that if you find something interesting, for example, just to for him, but you are just mentioning or pointing out the red flags out of those conversations. So there are multiple signs, I would say, and as a solution, your child need to know these steps, that how to, like, what is cyberbullying, first of all, what is sexting, and how to report and how to share with a trusted adult.
Absolutely. I think just listening without, judgment, and also looking for these cues, right? Suddenly when they suddenly withdraw from the devices, suddenly they go silent.
True.
The drop in performance, maybe academically.
True.
On the facility. So looking at these silent cues and then taking action according to that.
Exactly. And these steps will be the first step, which 99% of people missed, is to document that incident, because
Yeah.
they don't know, like, as for example, if it's on Snapchat, it will automatically disappear after 24 hours. So you don't have anything to, like, you already inform your parents, but they don't have any record. So even those authorities in UAE, they cannot help you if you don't have any screenshots or any logs or anything document, So teach them how to document this. Snapchat even sometimes blocks these screenshots. So what is the alternative, how to log them, then how to block. Every platform has this option of blocking and reporting. So teach them how you can block, how you can report, then share with like, so these are like initial steps. Document it, log it, block it, report it, and meanwhile, parallelly inform the trusted adult, and then seek support. Obviously, parents also should not keep to themselves. They should seek support, of authorities.
All right. Thank you. And what do you think? How can parents model positive online behavior at home? Such as, having a shared space at home, gaming. What are your strategies?
Yeah, so like they should teach their children that how to say no, um, in a polite way, where you are communicating, where you're not. And I think the rule of thumb starting from there is that if you have not met that person physically, try to avoid them online.
I think also having, when we were discussing this with our e-safety parent committee, one of the parents she suggested that having screen time together. So you watch your iPad for 20 minutes and I'm on my phone for the same amount of time. So I think having that shared screen time as well really helps. And also talking openly, especially when it comes to cyberbullying, I think having that open communication and having that reassuring the child, right? That you've got your support, parent support. I think that really helps as well. All right, Mr. Parker, I think
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Adeel, for talking through those questions with us. I'm just going to some of the parent comments, if I may just go through, just to give some feedback, and also then other points we may want to chip in and answer some of those as well. So I think the very last one there was to keeping children in your sights. My belief is when it comes to gaming, and as much as possible, not having devices in rooms, but keeping them as close to you as they can, which it's difficult. If they're not with us, at least for us to be with them, to be in their rooms, and thinking about anti-bullying is being aware if children become withdrawn. That's one of the signs that they're going through something, and then to be able to check their devices, but also of course have the conversations with them for those as well. Yeah, so it's often children do get into disagreements online, and keyboard warriors, it's much easier for us to be rude online than in person, and so we do find things escalating online and sometimes spilling over into school, and we try to make sure that we pick up on those and address those through our various programs in the school as well. Okay, so we've talked about Mr. Farhan mentioned just talking through the rationale of why we have certain things, and I think investing in that time is really important. So that's those conversations when things are calm are very important. But why we do things, what are our values, what do we hold sacred, what's important about family life, all those kind of things need to be done, not when we're trying to grab the iPad off them, but as part of ongoing educational discussions, perhaps after Salah, having a bit of a circle time where we're talking to children, reflecting on certain things, so that we embed those core values as early as possible. The AI challenge is going to continue. Children, I mean, deep fakes are just so huge now. And often if I'm looking at social media sometimes and I see something and it takes me time to figure out if it doesn't say AI in the title, whether that's real or not. And obviously that's done on purpose, but that's something which is really concerning. And when children are exposed to certain opinions or things that people are saying, alhamdulillah, we've not had any issues of children taking pictures of each other and making fakes with them, but that's a very, very real possibility we should be aware of. And it's something which we tried to control. A parent earlier on mentioned about children using iPads in school, and it's a real challenge. We do have a lot of restrictions in place, but one of the things that we have to leave open is Safari, because we have to allow for research to happen. I will be speaking just after the back of one of the comments about children after school accessing things. Sometimes you can walk in a corridor and see children playing games, etc. I will look into whether we can just shut them off. Now, the internet is not available unless they're on a MDM device, because sometimes children bring alternative devices in. But we will just see if we can shut devices off per se. after 2:30, so that we don't have them using it at those when they're waiting for parents to pick them up, etc. So we'll make sure that's in place. The MDM does stay on till around 3:30, so that, for example, they don't switch off on the buses, so that we're safeguarding things are in place in there. But I accept that point, and we need to look further into those things as well, inshallah. Okay, so any healthy activities that you might recommend for children to do on their gadgets? Is there a healthy thing that they can do? I'm sure there is, right?
Yeah,
They're not
there
all
are.
bad. I think
True.
technology is amazing, and I certainly wouldn't be able to get around Dubai without my navigation. So, is there any healthy things that you might recommend?
That's a good point. Yeah, there are so many, productive things, productive applications, especially after AI. AI have like Google has their own AI studio where you can, children can build their own small AI projects, and there are hundreds of things. That's the reason we have allowed in first place, right? These devices. So I'm sure that you guys are already using so many applications. I mentioned about this walled garden AI. So Khan Academy has their own um, uh, AI which they are building, which is school control chatbots and supporting teachers and all that stuff. So again, I think you are the one who can answer better than me. That there are hundreds of applications which can help students.
I wonder if we could perhaps some of the recommendations, or got some recommendations coming through there. So some very controlled environments, things like Canva, which I love Canva. I think it's a fantastic thing. Scratch, which the students are used to in the school. Stop motion studio. We used to use Timetable Rockstars, but unfortunately, some of their values within their, there was some LGBT stuff coming through on there, so we actually removed that from the school apps, which is something we used to purchase for students. So it may have changed, sister, but just be careful and just check those out. But there's lots of things like language apps, etc., which are devices which have apps which have very controlled environments. They can just do a certain thing with them. So those are the ones I think that everyone's recommending there. So that would be useful. Minecraft is certainly quite useful. Again, with the right restrictions in place around chats and those kind of things. But Minecraft is quite a one that requires children to build things and use resources and all those kind of things. That can be quite useful as well. Okay, I think some recommendations, some great recommendations for all of us to consider. Some recommendations that, as I was noting down, based on the feedback and some of the things that Mr. Adeel has mentioned, which is perhaps we can create some guidance for parents that we can share around about some of the tips based on today's discussion. For one thing that I really believe in is that these challenges are getting more and more difficult, and we have to have a shared narrative as a community. Not a narrative of blame, because it's a very difficult environment for children to be in, and for parents to be in, but we need to keep talking about it, keep talking about different strategies that we can use, things that we can invest in to develop policies in the environment that we are in as well. And really, I think a perfect point that Mr. Farhan has just mentioned there, which perhaps will help us finish this discussion, is that really it's about the middle way. We're not a religion of extremes where we take on technology. We think there's great benefits to technology, but equally we put the controls and the preventatives in place to ensure that we have the correct protection in place for children and ourselves as adults. And I think there's restrictions we have to apply to ourselves as well about when our Wi-Fi turns off and what our rules are for ourselves about the amount of time that we spend on certain apps as well. And I speak to myself before anybody else when it comes to these things. So, as one of our parents quite rightly said, in all of this, we have to rely on dua to protect our children, because there's so much out there which can affect them. And we wonder how they've been protected so much so far. So they're under Allah's protection, and we have to keep making dua for them because there are so many harms out there, whether it's from fast food and junk food, or whether it's about technology and those kind of things. Okay, so here we are. We've reached the end of our session. I want to thank Mr. Adeel. It's been an honor and a pleasure for you to take time, just purely from your passion, to be with us today and share your knowledge.
Anytime, Parker. So kind of you for this opportunity, and see you inshallah face to face. Also, we will have more sessions with children also, inshallah.
Wonderful. So
happy
we've
to
got
assist.
things planned. Miss Sini, who's leading on digital safety in the school, has got plans. This week is anti-bullying week. There's going to be a lot of focus on e-safety, digital safety, meeting with students. I'm meeting with students tomorrow, different committees across the school. Miss Sini's got lots of workshops planned for them. Teachers are doing it in their classrooms. We have to keep the narrative up, inshallah, to make sure that we instill these values at a very young age. Miss Sini, any final words that you want to leave us with?
That's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeel, Mr. Parker, for such an engaging and insightful session. And thanks to all our parents today for joining us. These conversations are really so important that we work together to keep our children safe, balanced, and responsible, especially in this era of digital trends. That's it. We hope you found today's workshop helpful and leaving with some practical takeaways to use at home. Jazakumullah khairan once again, and we look forward to seeing more of your next parent sessions, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Jazakallah khaira. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khaira.